Okay, awesome. All right, well, thanks guys for hopping on here with me this afternoon. The concept here is I just want to set the table. We have folks who have some experience in booking these destinations outside of the theme parks, or what I like to call the I-4 corridor. And we have folks here who are looking to do it for the first time and just have some apprehensions. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a series of webinars where we talk a little bit about each of the primary areas involved in doing these types of bookings. And so this particular one that we're going to do first is we're going to talk, it's really about setting the table. It's about defining some very clear definitions so that when you hear terms like DMCs and FITs and things like that, that you know what we're talking about. So we're gonna set that table first. We're going to define what these things are. We're going to talk a little bit about them, but subsequent sessions that we're going to do, we're going to be digging a lot deeper into it. So as we walk through this, hang in there with me. If you have any questions, throw them in chat. Feel free to interrupt me if you want to, but we'll definitely have some questions and answer sessions at the end. So let's just kind of talk a little bit here about what is what's really different about these bookings, because I know a lot of us, almost all of us, come out of that Disney background, and so being a Disney travel agent is a lot different than being a non-Disney travel agent, if you will. With Disney, as you all know, most people already pretty much know where they want to go. They already know they want to go to Disney, but they just need help on the back end. So getting the booking, with the exception of maybe that resort selection in the front end, that's actually the easier part. All the work is on the back end after you make the booking. Well, when you do this global travel, I'll call the non-theme park travel, it's actually quite opposite. The clients are going to be very vague in where they want to go for the most part. They're going to say things like, I want to go to a really nice all-inclusive beach resort. Well, that could be several different countries, thousands of different hotel resort options. So they need your help on how to get to that destination. What is the right destination? What's the right country? How do I get there? Do I need passports? Do I need flights and connectors and all of that? So the idea is you are there to help guide them through that process. And so the work on a global travel, most of the work is actually upfront before you ever get to the booking. The back end is where the easy part is. So it's almost an exact flip. So with this global travel, it's okay to know that you're not going to know all of this like the back of your hand, like you do Disney. And that's okay. We're going to work through this process so that you know what you need to know, and what you don't know, we're going to ask. So we're going to work through this and kind of help you get over that hump of, I don't know what I don't know. So the first thing we're going to do, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about some common terms. So the first term that I want you to understand is the word supplier. We hear that phrase, that word thrown around a lot. I use it quite a bit, but really what a supplier is, it's who we buy vacations or inventory from. So we buy our vacations from various different sources. It's like, you can buy a camera lens. You can buy camera lens from various different places. You can go online, you can go to a camera store, you can go to a big box discounter like Walmart to buy a camera lens, all kinds of different places where you can buy a camera lens, or you can buy directly from the manufacturer. Lots of different places you can go. Well, the same thing exists for vacations and who we buy our vacations from. So we have wholesalers, tour operators, tour companies, DMCs, and direct. So we're going to go down through this list so that when you hear these terms, you know what they mean and who these companies are. So the first place we're going to start is a wholesaler. And so what a wholesaler is, it's a company that basically purchases room inventory from hotels for resale. And so they'll buy a block of rooms at a hotel or commit to a block of rooms at a hotel. And because they're doing that, the hotel will give them usually lower prices that they will pass on to us as the travel agents. So examples, and I'm actually going to kind of start in the middle and work my way around here, but probably one of the most famous wholesalers is Expedia or Priceline or any of your online travel agents. They will typically buy those rooms in bulk and then turn around and resell them back. But I also want you to understand that Walt Disney Travel Company is a wholesaler. Walt Disney Travel, when we book our Walt Disney World vacations and our cruise lines and so forth, but let's just kind of keep it in the resort spectrum for now. Walt Disney Travel Company is a wholesaler who buys blocks of rooms from the various Disney resorts. And we know that because Disney Resorts also sells blocks of rooms to Expedia and other online travel agents as well. And so Walt Disney Travel Company is just one wholesaler that they sell to. And then we, as an earmark company, purchase our Walt Disney rooms from the wholesaler, Walt Disney Travel Company. Unique Vacations. You may have never heard of Unique Vacations, but Unique Vacations is actually the wholesaler of sandals. So when we think we're buying sandals direct, we're actually buying it through a wholesaler called Unique Vacations that Sandals happens to own. TBO Holidays is our preferred provider for purchasing rooms wholesale. And really what TBO Holidays does is they're a search engine of various wholesalers, and they will go out and search based on the parameters that we put into place and find the best wholesaler for us to purchase from. And then we purchase through TBO Holidays into that wholesaler. So really what I'm trying to get across to you here is wholesalers are companies that will buy bulk supply of rooms that we turn around and we can purchase directly from them. And TBO Holidays would be the supplier that we typically have in that market. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about tour operators. If you're going to get into the all-inclusive space, then tour operators are going to be a term that you're going to hear a lot of. The first thing I want you to think of is remove the word tour. We're not talking about tours. We're not talking about go here, 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 and an itinerary. That's not the type of tour we're talking about. This is just, it's kind of one of those terms that has stuck through the years. But really what a tour operator is a very specialized wholesaler. And so for us, we book all of our all-inclusives through tour operators. We also can book standalone hotels through tour operators as well. But the key component for a tour operator is this is where we go to combine our hotel, our flights, transfers, rentals, all that type of things into one package. So our preferred tour operator suppliers are Vacation Express. Vacation Express handles Mexico and Caribbean, Pleasant Holidays, Journeys, Classic Vacations. Those are our primary tour operators. So if you have somebody who wants to go to a resort in Mexico, we can book that hotel and flight package through one of our tour operators to bundle that package together. Another key benefit of a tour operator is they have what are known as charter flights. And so much like they book a block of rooms at a discount, they also do the same thing on flights. And so like Vacation Express, for example, has like 6 or 7 different cities where they do this with airlines. And so they buy these seats at a discount, and then they pass that discount off to us as agencies, and then we can pass that discount off to our customers. So it's a really nice feature of using a tour operator. So again, a tour operator typically will buy or commit to blocks of rooms, but they will bundle them together into a package service for us. So why do we use a tour operator? Well, there's a couple things. First of all, because they so many different travel agencies and some tour operators actually even sell to the general public because they have so much business that they're driving into resort companies, resort chains. They can actually negotiate higher commissions because of the bulk purchasing, and they will pass those higher commissions down to us. And so because we have that bulk purchasing power through that tour operator, we get higher commissions. We also have a support system in place. So again, if we didn't have a tour operator, we could be booking with 1,000 different hotels, and that would be 1,000 different points of contact. And if something went wrong, who knows whether or not we ever get it fixed. But because we have that tour operator, we have that one point of contact for an air department. We have a point of contact for on site if the client is on site. We have a point of contact for sales. So we have a centralized place where we can go instead of having to go to 1,000 different people. We can also bundle our opportunities. Again, I talked about, air transfers. If you book, let's say we're booking into Dominican Republic, you can book the air, the resort, the transfers, and if it makes sense, even the travel insurance, all bundled together under one package price. And of course, the other thing that some of the tour operators have are rewards. The resorts themselves, their families have rewards for the travel agents for selling, but then the tour operators also have a rewards program. So the more you sell, the more fun things that you can get back in terms of room nights or even cash. So that's kind of what a tour operator is and why we use it. So kind of think of a tour operator as kind of your Costco. Not Costco travel agency, but Costco where we go to buy bulk products. Okay, so let's talk about a tour company. Now, in this case, this is a company that we would buy vacations from where the word tour actually makes sense. It's actually using that term for that purpose. So a tour company is a company that actually plans tours for individuals or larger groups. So before I get too deep into the conversation here, it's really think about Adventures by Disney. We've all been exposed to Adventures by Disney. Adventures by Disney is where a group of people who, and let's say pre-COVID, before they started getting kind of creative, but for the most part, 40 people who may or may not even know each other come together. They go out on a guided tour that has a predefined itinerary. And so in that case, Adventures by Disney is your tour company. There's other tour companies out there as well. Globus is one, Go Away is another. So if you have somebody who wants to go and say tour Paris, we have companies out there who say, arrive on May 13th, and for 7 days, you will get to see Paris. And here are all the cool things we have already lined up for you as a group. And you may have some free time to explore, but for the most part, we're going to have this guide and they're going to take you around and they're going to show you the city. So again, this can be a small group, it can be large group, it can be private, it can be with people you don't know. For the most part, they're escorted tours. There are some that are non-escorted. But a tour company, again, is just the company that puts these tours together, again, usually predefined. They have a catalog of tours and you go and find the spot you want to go on in that catalog of tours. All right, so another outfit that we can buy vacations from is what's called a DMC, or a destination management company. We're going to talk a lot more about this when we start talking about a different type of travel later. So I'm going to skip over this for now, but you'll hear me talk about a DMC a little bit later. But this is, again, the type of company that we can buy vacations from. And the last source where we can buy vacations from is Booking Direct. And Booking Direct is basically just booking direct with that supplier. So if you have a let's say Palm Beach Regency, who knows who owns it? It's just an independent hotel. and you want to book that, and you just call them directly. They tell you they will pay a commission, and so you book it directly with them. That's what a direct booking is. The issues we have with that is we have absolutely no leverage. We may, you may be the first person from our company to ever book there. If something goes wrong, we have no leverage. Whereas if we book that through a tour operator, that tour operator may have booked thousands of rooms at that hotel, and management's going to listen to somebody who booked 1,000 rooms as opposed to somebody who books just one room. Typically, they may promise you commission payments, and they may be slow. I posted on the board the other day that Hilton, a large major corporation, just paid us commissions from 2017. So slow is an understatement, if at all. And of course, no point of contact. When you book into these rooms and you're booking them direct, in most cases, we don't have a point of contact. And if we do, they typically aren't there 6 months later. There's such a turnover in the industry that for the most part, a lot of people just aren't at that same job, and we don't have a point of contact. So direct booking, can we do it? Yes. Should we? Only as a last resort. All right, and so that's pretty much it for the list of the types of suppliers that we can purchase from. If you remember, I kind of used that for tour companies. Or tour operators. I kind of use that Costco analogy. I want to talk to you a little bit just about this one other term that you may have heard bantied about a little bit. It's a consortia. And you may have seen that whenever you sign up for a supplier's agency or a travel agent page, where they ask you what our consortia is, and we always answer travel leaders. And what does that mean? So basically, a consortia is a trade association of a lot of travel agencies, and we happen to belong to Travel Leaders. And so Travel Leaders has a list of preferred suppliers that they recommend. And what they'll do is, again, use the purchasing power of all the agencies that belong to Travel Leaders to negotiate better rates and better service. And so there are suppliers that we work with that we will get an extra couple points of percentage of commission simply because we belong to Travel Leaders. There are times whenever we have an issue with a supplier that if we can't get resolved with the supplier themselves, we'll go to Travel Leaders and we will discuss it with them. And again, the power of all the travel agencies pulled together, those suppliers will listen and they'll work to fix those problems. So think of Travel Leaders as an umbrella over our company. Our company in this diagram is the host agency. And so we certainly have some power based on the types of bookings that we do and who we do bookings with. And then again, the tour operators have that same type of power. And then again, the individual direct suppliers at the bottom are at the bottom of that list. So I just wanted to explain what Travel Leaders and the consortia were in terms of how that kind of plays into what we do here. All right, so I mentioned earlier we were going to talk about the different types of suppliers that we can purchase product from. Now what I want to do is kind of dig into a little bit about the types of travel that we can sell. So obviously, theme park, we all pretty much know the theme park business. So I'm just going to spend zero time on theme parks. So let's move into cruising. So we're going to spend more time later in a different session about cruising. But one thing I did want to mention in this training, only because I'm seeing a little uptick in this right now, is when we talk about group sales and groups into booking groups with cruising. So different cruise lines have a different requirement as to how many cabins or staterooms fit into a group. But when you do book a group, there's two types of benefits that you might receive. And I wanted to kind of go over those so that you weren't blind to them, especially since some of you already have groups in place. The first is what's called a tour conductor credit. And again, based on the length of the cruise, how many staterooms you have and so forth, your group may earn tour conductor credits. And what a tour conductor credit is basically an allocation of the inventory into free rooms. So here's the concept. The concept is I'm a leader of a group and I'm bringing all these people to sail on your ship. The ship says, well, thank you for doing that. Here's a free room for you, the leader. That's the concept. Hence the word tour conductor. So the person who is leading that tour, the concept is you get a free room. And so really as the guide of that tour, you as a travel agent need to understand what that tour conductor credit is and provide one of two options to the group leader of your group. That is, they can literally use that tour conductor credit towards their room if they want to, or they can take the monetary value of that tour conductor credit and just evenly spread it out amongst the group. So for example, let's say they get a $1,000 tour conductor credit towards their room and they have 10 rooms traveling. So he can either take that $1,000 and put it towards his room, or he can take that $1,000 divided by the 10 rooms and knock $100 off of everybody's room. So you have those little options and places to play with that tour conductor credit. So just make sure you understand, and if you're talking with these cruise lines, make sure you understand what TCs are available to your group. The other benefit that you get with booking your cruise groups is what's called gap points. And what a gap point is, it's basically a rewards program. So again, based on the size of the group, the length of the cruise, a lot of different factors, you can earn points that you can redeem. And it's really kind of an interesting system because usually it's like one gap point or two gap points. It's not like thousands where you can redeem them. So however many gap points you get, you can redeem. So you can do like an in-cabin gift. So if you want to do like chocolate covered strawberries for the rooms, or flowers, or decorations or something like that, or you can have like a cocktail party or maybe even a private party somewhere. So you can use these gap points for your group. Now, again, this is not a travel agent reward for you to use. This is for the organizer of the cruise group. So if it's a church group, whoever your point of contact is, you relay to them that they have gap points. They can do with that as they please. So anyway, I just wanted to bring those two benefits to you in terms of cruising, but we're going to talk a lot more about cruising in a future session. All right, so let's talk about all-inclusive. This is really the area where I think most everybody really wants to kind of get involved in. And so we're not going to spend, again, a lot here. We're going to talk some terminology and some basics, but we're going to do a future subsequent session on booking all-inclusive. So basically all-inclusive means that when you show up at the hotel, your room, your drinks, and your food are included. So kind of be careful when using that term and study the resorts that you're recommending, because it's not always all you can eat or all you can drink. So some places do have 24/7 room service, but it might be a limited menu. The buffets will typically close, so they're not there 24/7. So it's not always all you can eat, but when you do sit down at a meal, it might be all you care to eat. So understand those differences. All you can drink, for example, I know like at Sandals for wine, there's typically 5 types of wine that are included. They're the house wines, maybe 2 whites, 2 reds, and I don't know my wine. So there's a 5th something or other. And then if you want top shelf liquor or top shelf wine, there might be an additional cost. The same with going to a steakhouse. They might have 3 different steak options, but if you want the Wagyu beef, then you may have to pay an extra $50 for that. So there are certainly upcharge opportunities at these resorts. So just understand what all-inclusive means and how you represent that to your clients. The other thing is too, most resorts do have gratuity policy where gratuities are included in the price, but it is customary to tip your, your drivers, your bellhops, the luggage carriers. I guess that's the same as bellhops, servers, bartenders, that type of thing. So just know what is or isn't included and is all inclusive. We will almost always book our all inclusives through a tour operator. Vacation Express is our preferred tour operator for Mexico and the Caribbean. That's all they sell. If you're booking into Hawaii, that'll be your Pleasant Holidays. We do have Journeys, which is the same company as Pleasant Holidays, but Journeys is a little higher level luxury brand. Pleasant Holidays and Classic will service the entire world. So you can use those for even European travel. And then Direct, again, only if necessary. Two terms I want you to be very careful with when you're talking about all inclusive, and that is oceanfront and ocean view. There's a big difference. An oceanfront room is one that is literally facing the ocean, and typically you can see the ocean from even inside your room. An ocean view room means that it is a room where a view is possible. So that might mean that you have to step out on your balcony, lean over 2 feet, turn your head 90 degrees to the right, and between the trees, you can see the ocean. That could be an ocean view. So there's a huge difference. And so for instance, we were at Margaritaville this past week in Dominican Republic. Right next to Margaritaville is Azul Resort. It is now, later this year, it's going to become part of Margaritaville. And that resort, every room has these beautiful balconies sticking out. The problem with the balcony is that you can be in your room and look out the balcony and not see the ocean. So those are not ocean front, but when you step out onto the balcony and kind of look a little bit to the left, you can see the ocean. So that'll be an ocean view. So know those differences. One other thing that you may encounter is some of the buildings are, depending on the resort, can be like a semicircle and then maybe up to 10 stories high. The first lower rooms might be considered an ocean view, where the rooms at the top may be considered an ocean front. Because of the vegetation and the trees, you may not have a full view of the ocean, so they can't really call that an ocean front. So just understand what those room categories mean when you start talking about all inclusive. And then, of course, a European plan is a resort which looks like, smells like, tastes like, I mean, you would not know the difference between it and an all-inclusive resort except for one thing, and that is the meals are not included. And you do have some of those in basically every environment where we do sell all-inclusive. So a great example of this is the Fives downtown. And it is located, what's the name of the town? Puerto Morelos is on my mind, but that's not the town. It's a different town. But anyway, someone knows, chime in. But anyway, it's right next to a very bustling business district, shopping district with a lot of restaurants. And so it makes no sense for that restaurant to have an all-inclusive plan when you can walk outside, go down a block, and have a whole barrage of local restaurants. So they have what's called a European plan. So you can just book the room, but not have a meal package included. So just, again, look for those. They're not as prevalent as all-inclusive, but they are there. So that's really all we're going to talk about with all-inclusives right now. I just wanted to kind of lay that out as you start dabbling into this a little bit and start doing Playa del Carmen. Thank you, Amy. That's it. Fifth Avenue is the district I'm thinking of there. I don't know why I had a brain fart on that one, but I did. But anyway, so as you're starting to train, and we want to just make sure you have some of that basic terminology there. All right, so let's talk a little about another type of travel. We're going to talk about these guided tours a little bit. I did talk about them a little bit when we were talking about tour companies. But again, a tour is typically a full itinerary predefined, You arrive at the airport, they take care of you throughout your trip and get you back to the airport. Again, large groups, maybe individuals, small groups, guided or self-directed. And keep in mind that Adventures by Disney is that example of a large group guided tour. All right, and our last one is independent travel. And this is where I talked a little bit about those destination management companies. So here's what independent travel is. Independent travel is, it's basically what we call an FIT. So if you hear the term FIT, it basically means that I want to go someplace and just be on my own, not have a structured tour, just do my thing. Maybe I have a couple of excursions I want to go see. Maybe I want to have a reservation and tickets to go see a museum, maybe some dining reservations. But I just kind of want to wander around and kind of do my thing. So I'm going to kind of piecemeal this vacation together. And I want you, the travel agent, to do that for me. So let's say someone wants to go to Paris and they want to book air and they want to do all their transfers and they want the hotels and they want the excursions and et cetera, et cetera. And so, yes, you might be able to put something like that together, maybe not including the excursions, with a tour operator such as Classic or Pleasant. But when it starts getting a little bit more involved with excursions and multiple hotels and multiple transfers, you're talking a whole lot of work for a little bit of commission. Typically, these are unescorted experiences. Again, I just want to go and wander around. So I'm going to suggest to you that you just do not try these unless you are experienced in this area. And I'm going to suggest that you utilize a DMC, which is a destination management company. And here's why I want you to use a destination management company. A destination management company is a company that's typically located in a specific country. So if let's say we have that family that wants to go to Paris. Well, what we are going to do is we're going to reach out to this company that's located in Paris that works with American travelers, and they will package together whatever that client wants. They know that local landscape. They have the local relationships with all of the transfer companies, with the hotels, with the excursion folks. They have those relationships where we don't, because we're just doing a one-off. They do it every day, all the time. So they will actually create the itinerary. So what we will do is we will say, okay, I have the Smith family. Smith family wants to go to Paris. They want to arrive on this day. They want to stay in this section of town because they want to do this, this, and this. But then 3 days later, they want to move over to the other side of town. Maybe we'll move them to a different hotel, but they want to do these 3 or 4 things while they're there. But they still want to have free time and just kind of wander around and do their thing. And then we need to get them back to the airport too. So do we want to be putting something like that together with a bunch of suppliers we don't know? And the answer is typically no, we don't. So what we will do is we'll reach out to that company in Paris and say, send them an email. Here's what the Smith family wants to do. Can you put this together for us? And they will work to put that itinerary together, come up with a price, send us a quote back to us. And when they send that back to us, they'll typically put our logo on it and our contact information on it so that we can forward it directly to the client and say, hey, client, here's exactly what you wanted. It will cost you $9,312. Press hard 3 copies, give me your credit card. Or we can tweak it and take it back to the DMC and they'll tweak it and come up with exactly what that client wants. And then we book it and everybody's happy and we get a nice commission. The benefit of that is we have a single point of contact. We're not dealing with a transfer company in Paris that we've never heard of, where we're going to have a language barrier on top of it. So let me give you a real life example. Right before the pandemic, I had a client who wanted to go to Costa Rica, 2 different families. Family number 1 wanted to arrive on this date. Family number 2 wanted to arrive 2 days later and stay an extra 2 days. So they're basically shifting their vacation by 2 days. First family wanted to go to the jungle first. Second family wanted to go to the beach first, and then they wanted to alternate halfway through the trip. But during The middle of the trip, when they're all there together at the same time, they wanted to actually meet up at the beach and spend 2 days together and then go off their separate ways. There's no way I was putting that together. So I reached out to a DMC in Costa Rica and I sent them all those details. They worked up the hotels on both the volcano and or in the jungle and at the beach for both families. They set up the monkey tour, they set up the surfers, they set up all the transfers, they set up the meeting place for them to have their 2 days together, sent me a nice thing for $10,000 and we sent it off to the client and we basically made $1,000 for maybe an hour's worth of work. And it was amazing until the pandemic hit, then they didn't go. But that's an easy way of doing that. So the last thing you really want to be doing is piecemealing these little vacations together. That's my biggest advice when we talk about FITs is stay away from piecemealing these things together. We've got DMCs out there. If you have a situation where you need a DMC, let me know and we'll find the right one for the right situation. Okay, so now we've talked about the types of suppliers that we can purchase vacations from, and we've talked about the different types of travel. And so now we're at a place where it's like, okay, what do I do? Where do I go from here? The first thing I want you to do is I want you to determine your passion. What are you the most passionate about? Are you passionate about doing all-inclusive? Are you passionate about doing cruising? Are you passionate about doing theme parks? Are you passionate about doing tours? Maybe it's not even on here. Maybe it's golf tours. Maybe, whatever it might be. Find out and figure out what your passion is. And maybe there's two passions. It doesn't have to be one. All right. So the biggest objection I hear from folks who haven't traveled yet is I don't know that I can sell this because I've never done it. I've never been there. So my first response to you is if you're hesitant to sell because you've never been there, my response is then go. Typically, you will find that in most cases, a lot of cases, you can experience one of these alternate vacations for the same price or less than what you're paying to go to Disney. So do something different. Do something for your business. Do something for your family. Give the gift of your passion to your family and go someplace different and experience these things. Experience what it's like to sit next to a pool or an ocean with unlimited pina coladas and the kids playing volleyball and whatever it is, or cruising, whatever that experience is. Give that gift to your family. The return that you'll receive on that investment is astronomical. There's nothing better than being at that resort, taking your pictures and taking your selfies and showing the world that you are a travel agent that travels and that you know those properties and that you can sell them with experiential knowledge. So if you can do that, do that. I think that's a very important step. Now, the other practical answer is it's possible, is it better to be there in order to sell or to have gone? Yes, absolutely. Exponentially. Does that mean that you can't sell that property if you've not gone? It absolutely does not mean that. It means you can still sell it. So here's how we're going to position you, especially if you're starting to get kind of moving, even if you've not stepped foot on one of these properties. So the first thing is we're just going to give you a very small choice of suppliers. We're only giving you 3 tour operators to work with. We're going to give you just a few resort families to work with because you don't need to know 1,000 resorts. You just don't need to know all that. The resort families we're going to offer you have enough suppliers or enough options to pretty much satisfy any situation you're going to encounter. If it goes beyond that situation, we'll work with you to find something. But for the most part, you're going to have just a very limited number of suppliers and resorts to work with. We're obviously going to give you all the resources to learn those destinations, whether it's resorts. Most of our suppliers have training. We are going to continue training you on the backside, the travel agent side, but from a supplier standpoint. If it's cruise ships, Royal Caribbean has an amazing cruise ship training program. Virgin Voyages has an amazing training program. So look, we're going to, when we get into these resorts for the all-inclusives primarily, we're going to give you the resources to learn those properties without actually having stepped foot on it. We have destination specialists within our company. Now, again, destination specialists, be very clear about what their purpose is. Their purpose isn't to train you in how to become a travel agent. Their purpose is not for you to say, I have the Smith family who wants to go to Paris and I don't know what to do. That's not their purpose. Their purpose is, I have the Smith family who wants to go to Paris. I've done Dream Discovery. They want to make sure that they do these 5 things and they are serious foodies. I've already taken a look and done my research, and this is what I found. What do you think? That's what a destination specialist is for. They're an over-the-shoulder look. They're not to hold your hand and walk you through the process. So please don't ask your destination specialist to take that level of interest with you. That's not their role. But they are there to review what you've researched. Again, the supplier training and websites, I talked about that earlier. MMVT training, obviously throughout January, February, and most of March, we had supplier training on every week to help give you knowledge that you needed with some of these suppliers. We've got this series of webinars on how to do the travel agent side. And we're going to keep that moving. We're just going to keep the conversation rolling with further training here. And then, of course, we're going to work on trying to get more FAM trips in place for you. So we just finished up the Dominican Republic FAM trip. I'm trying to organize 2 more FAM trips. One will be with one of our resort families, and it will be very much geared towards folks who've never stepped foot in Mexico or in an all-inclusive, basically all you newbies. That's going to be the first FAM trip that we're going to try and put together. And then the second FAM trip is one for our experienced agents to look at some very popular resorts that we all like to book into that we may not have seen yet. So we're going to be looking at getting into Atelier, and we're going to be looking at getting into the Playa resorts as well as Escuret. So that's kind of where I'm working right now and trying to get those planned, hopefully for the summer. I know it's getting near, but we're going to work through it. So what's the plan? What's the plan now? So the plan right now is, what I want you to do is learn about 2 suppliers within your passion area. So we talked about what that passion area was for you, if it's cruising or all-inclusives or tours, whatever that might be. Or if you have, a couple different passions, learn 1 or 2 suppliers inside of each of this passion area. So let me give you some examples here. So cruises for families, I highly recommend Beyond Disney. I highly recommend Royal Caribbean. I'm loving Royal Caribbean. We've sailed so many Royal Caribbean cruises since pandemic has resumed, even before. I think we've been on 5 or 6 different ships now. And we're actually supposed to be on one this week, but it didn't work out. So we got future cruise credits we'll use some other time. But Royal Caribbean for your adult onlys, and don't discount adult onlys. Parents need to get away from those kids too. Look at Virgin Voyages. It's an amazing cruise ship. For your wholesalers, Vacation Express, again, is our #1. Dig into their website. They have incredible training on there. So definitely look into Vacation Express. Classic and Pleasant are our backups there for other locations as well. For Mexico, Charisma, the Charisma family, they're the ones who have Margaritaville, Nickelodeon. They've got they've got over-the-water bungalows. They've got quiet casita style resorts, family resorts, adult only, quiet, romantic, noisy, whatever you want. Charisma pretty much has it. Playa has some really nice high-end resorts. Escuret that family is definitely high-end luxury. But those are our three primary families of resorts right now. We do have some others that we work with, but if you're looking to get your feet wet into this market, I would definitely start looking with those resorts. Jamaica, obviously we work with Sandals and Beaches, and the Couples brand is also a good one as well. Dominican Republic, Charisma, we talked about that with Margaritaville and Nickelodeon. And the Playa family is also good. Sanctuary, Hyatt Ziva, Hyatt Zilara. If you're wanting to do luxury travel, escorted tours, river cruises, Europe FITs, things like that, my recommendation is don't start there. Start in some of these other categories, but if you must, get with me. We will work through those together. Again, it's very kind of difficult to train up on those because every one of those can be so different from each other. If you want to get into the escorted tour business, then Adventures by Disney, Go Away, and Globus would be my recommendations there. And let me mute myself so I can cough without hurting everybody. Know that we are here to support you at the home office. So we have the DFT group on Workplace. Make sure you're in that group. We're working to make that a very safe place for you to come and ask questions. We're working on that. And so I think we've corrected some issues there. So feel free to go there and ask questions that you need to ask. Rely on your wholesalers such as Vacation Express. I talked about that. Their website is phenomenal. Pleasant Holidays has some great information on theirs as well. In terms of online webinars, the help desks they have are great. And keep in mind, I have an open door. So I'm here to support you, to get you what you need, the resources you need. Again, if you have any issues, concerns, training ideas that you would like to see, if there's anything you need, reach out to me and we'll make it happen for you. Remember, tour operators are your friends. Oh, okay. So here's, sorry. The webinar series that we are doing for the next several weeks. So we're going to talk more about these tour operators. So we're going to dig deeper into Vacation Express. We're going to dig deeper into Pleasant Holidays. We're going to dig deeper into Classic and how to best utilize those, how they work, who to reach out to in certain circumstances. For instance, believe it or not, email is much faster than a phone call. They actually have people sitting there monitoring email addresses. So it's not like an email where you might get an answer 2 weeks from now. So we'll dig into things like that. When you're talking to your client, what exactly do I ask them? We're going to dig into the dream discovery process because dream discovery for these types of destinations are so much different than they are for Disney. So we're going to really dig deep into that process, and we'll probably do some role playing. We are going to talk about using those destination management companies for booking and FIT booking. If you must do your own FIT, we'll talk to you about the tools that we have available for you to do that. We're going to talk about selecting that all-inclusive resort for your client. So we're going to teach you how to do the right research, tell you which resorts to lean into and which ones to lean away from, because they're out there too. And of course, one of the biggest objections I hear from a lot of folks is, I'm really scared to book international air. So we're going to have a whole session on booking air travel. And then we're going to have a session on problem solving. If something goes wrong, where do I go? What do I do? How do I handle it? Who do I talk to? Okay. So that's what's coming up in our series of webinars, pretty much one a week. There's a couple of places I think we have 2 a week. And so we will be doing those on the schedule's already online on that page. So definitely recheck that because that may fluctuate as things happen and things come up, but definitely take a look. Here's my steps to get started. Define your passion, train up and learn on 1 or 2 of those specific products. Go back and look at that review, that Beyond the Mouse training that we worked up. Some of that, most of that's going to be reincorporated into a lot of what we're going to be talking about in the future. We're just diving and digging in a lot deeper. And if your passion does include all-inclusive, spend time on that Vacation Express site with training and webinars. So that is the session I wanted to share with you today. I know there's a lot of information, a lot of that could be overwhelming, but really what I wanted to do today was show you the different types of people that we can book with, explain some of those terms so that when you hear DMC, you know what it means. When you hear FIT, you know what it means. But get those different types of travel and then those different suppliers that we use. And to hopefully help you understand that this is not a process you have to be afraid of. Even if you haven't stepped foot, we've got enough people in our company who have stepped foot on those properties that we'll be able to help you and walk you through that process. So anybody have any questions? Anything you want to add as we wrap up our hour? I'm open to any questions that you may have. I see Melissa shaking her head no. Nope, I'm good. I'm solid. All right. So that's my recommendation for your plan of action is what's your passion? Pick a couple of suppliers, start digging, and be vocal and be active on that DFT page, because that's what it's there for. We're there to help each other. I'm here to help you, whatever you need. We've got more detailed information coming for you. But let's look at this side of the business, because there's a lot of business out there to be had. Don't let your Disney people go to AAA to book these vacations. That's, be that person for them. All right, guys, if there's no questions, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you for coming out this afternoon, and we'll see you hopefully tonight. We've got the big Cam Matthews event tonight, so hopefully you'll be there for that. So, all right, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys. Bye.